Hold on one second.
Looks like we have some attendees coming in. Welcome. I'm getting the live stream started. Hold on.
Yeah. Hello, attendees. We're getting everything going. Give us a moment.
Okay, we're live.
Excellent. Excellent. We are live. This is an Indiegogo webinar. Oh my goodness. How fun is this? Let's see. I'm Stacy Bradford. We're going to get going here in a moment. We got a lot of good stuff. We're going to let everyone kind of come on in. Come on in. You know, if there was a saloon door, you want the saloon door opening. Yes. Come on in. We're going to give everyone a moment. All right. Yeah, we're gonna give everyone, keep on coming in. Let's see, we got a lot of good stuff to get to today. Once everyone gets in, there's going to be a lucky draw game where people can take home real cash money via gift cards, of course. There's gonna be a Q&A. There's gonna be a lot of really good information from my esteemed colleagues who are on the call here. All right. There are 2 minutes, 3 minutes till we start. 2, 3. Are we starting at 10:01 or 10 o'clock? Megan, you can just shake your head. 10:01? No? Yes? Okay. There we go. Attendees in the room, you're getting Megan and I, a lot of people don't know this. She's very good at miming. Very good at miming, very good at charades. She's great at a house party. That's what I'm saying. Yes. All right. It is the very top of the hour. All right. Top of the hour. And that means we got about a minute before we get going here. We're going to give everyone a moment to get in. There's going to be a a lot of great material, a lot of educational material around how to build a great campaign page. There's going to be a Q&A. There's going to be a lucky draw where you out there, almost said dear listener, I'm also the podcast host. You out there, dear viewer, who can win real money, $50 for one lucky winner, and then there will be 2 winners taking home $25. So throughout this entire process, go ahead and submit some questions in the chat. There's going to be a Q&A at the end. If anyone who's familiar with me from the podcast will know, I like to talk. So the more questions, the better. You're not going to hurt my feelings, and no question around campaign pages. Campaign pages is off course. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get going here in terms of, should we go ahead and play the video? Let's cue the video. Give everybody a couple more minutes. Do we have sound with that there video as well? Maybe. There may be sound. There it is.
Advocated and promoted a greener world. You created and shared art. You helped to usher in the future of work and entertainment. And made communications more accessible with new tech. You built a community around big hearts and big ideas. In 2021, you supported inventors, creators, and entrepreneurs from every walk of life to make the world a better place for all of us. Explore Indiegogo in 2021 by the numbers. For a deeper look back, go to our Indiegogo blog. The world's most groundbreaking, innovative, and creative ideas have been given a chance to thrive in 2022 and for many years to come. All thanks to our Indiegogo community of backers and campaigners. What do you hope to see in 2022?
All right. Awesome. Awesome. Well, shout out to our design team. That video, very good. Very good. Earlier, I said that there will be sound. Well, now there will be Stacy. So allow us to get going here. Just a quick reminder here at the top, there's going to be a Q&A at the end. Please submit your questions in the chat. We'll answer them at the end, of course. Also, you should know, again, lucky draw for 3 lucky attendees who stayed the entire course of this webinar. It will be $50 to one lucky son of a gun, and then the other 2 lucky son of a guns are going to be get $25. So now let's begin. Who am I? That's quite the existential question, of course. I'm Stacy Bradford. I'm a senior hardware manager here at Indiegogo. In my tenure here, I have successfully led a category expansion, and I have worked with countless entrepreneurs in providing them the counsel and positioning necessary to be successful on our platform. And in my tenure here, I've helped entrepreneurs like you raise over $35 million on the platform. So a lot of good stuff. And on that note, I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues to introduce themselves. First up, Amy Chu.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you are. So I have been with Indiegogo for 2 years, working with some of the top campaigns from startups to enterprise across APAC, North America, and EMEA markets. I am also the brain behind our concierge services, which is our internal marketing agency for campaigners, and have very hands-on experiences planning out strategy and optimizing the campaign execution. So I'm very excited to share my knowledge with you all today.
Awesome, and excited to be at the webinar. Usually I am working alongside Stacy too as the producer of our Go Time podcast. But as a fellow campaign strategist like Amy, I work with a wide range of entrepreneurs from early stage startups to enterprise companies too. And over the past 4 years, have helped raise up over $180 million for campaigns that we've worked with. And then I also have experience being a crowdfunding campaigner myself. In my previous role, I was a marketing manager and worked on a Indiegogo campaign that raised $250,000. So I have some firsthand experience to help everyone out too.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Megan. Anyone out there who's familiar with the podcast, and we've referred to Megan a few times, and we're wondering whether or not she's real. She's real. You can see her right there. So now moving on. The whole premise of today, what we're going to be talking about is how to build an effective campaign for launch. Okay, so a lot of good stuff in store here. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Let's dive in. Okay, so what are we going to cover? Well, you can see here are the three items that we're going to cover right here. They say never to read the entire slide. I'm going to break that rule. I'm going to read this slide right here. So today we're going to be covering key elements of a successful Indiegogo campaign page, what visitors are looking for in a campaign page, and see Indiegogo campaign strategists fixing campaign pages in action. So those are the three. So now, next slide, please. So Indiegogo. All right. Well, what's our mission? As you can see here, our mission is to empower trustworthy people and entrepreneurs to unite around the ideas that matter to them and together make those ideas for life. And that's something that is very near and dear to me, because I personally very much believe in the mission of Indiegogo and have a fairly quixotic view of crowdfunding itself. So now go ahead, let's take a look here. So we are up to 24 million monthly active users. You can see those are unique users. We've launched almost 2 million campaigns, and 308 of them are what we call blockbusters. So they've raised over $1 million, which for those of you counting at home, that's 7 figures. That's a lot of figures. And speaking of figures, let's see the rest of the slide. All right, so we are in 247 countries. The average contribution on our platform, as you can see right there, $172. So our audience is, obviously they're millennials and urbanites for the most part. And in total, our audience has contributed over $2.5 billion on this very platform. That $2.5 billion is very much steeped in the Gogenta that's behind the slide. So why are campaigns raising so much funds on our platform? Well, there's a multitude of reasons, but first and foremost, here at Indiegogo, very proud to say that we take a very rigorous and data-driven approach. And I know data-driven approach, buzzword, not a big fan of buzzwords. If you listen to the podcast, you'll know I'm a little bit of a contrarian, but it's 100% true. We have Facebook Pixel, Google Analytics embedded in our product. And these help you obviously understand why your campaign is performing in the manner that it is. And more importantly, one will find that access to resources is the most constraining factor to a campaign success. And so you want to make for sure that you're getting everything you can out of your marketing dollars. So that's why those are important. Now, community tools. So the community tools, so we got a couple of new tools that are super cool. And it's something that I've been referring to as like Indiegogo Connect, although I don't want to get out in front of our marketing team, of course. But so we have a pre-launch page that will allow you to A/B test a bunch of, continuing with the theme of data, but So on the pre-launch page, you can actually begin collecting, hearing feedback from your community, getting ideas, hearing what's important to them, and just connecting with your community ahead of launch and making sure that the conversation, because that's really where the conversation begins, period. Because what we've noticed is that there are disparate islands of community. You're in a social media, you might be on Discord, you might be wherever. But with Indiegogo's pre-launch discussions, you can bring that community to Indiegogo and have one easy community to manage. And then once your campaign goes live, there's also open comments that will allow you to not only get feedback from backers, sure, you can get that, you can get that anywhere, but you can also get feedback from non-backers as well. And it's a great opportunity for you to hear what's important to them and why they might not be converting, and provide you with an opportunity to bring that previously unconverted visitor, turn that into a backer. And then obviously, in terms of sales strategy closing, you're going to get access to crowdfunding experts like myself. There's also add-on perk. There's a secret perk, super important for those of you using PR and influencer strategies, which my comments, listen to the podcast if you want to know my thoughts on those. But I allow you to, if you're using secret perks, allow you to track the traffic and have a better insight into that channel of promotion. There's a campaign extension, and then there's also in demand as well. That all of these features in concert allow campaigners to raise more funds on our platform. So next slide, please. So pre-launch discussions. All right. So 68% of backers want to have conversations with campaigners early. We just talked about this a moment ago, but ultimately pre-launch discussions is here to help you, the entrepreneur, have a better understanding of what potential backers are saying ahead of launch, and also get the feedback necessary that will help position you on a foundation that's far more firm than what you may have had without our pre-launch discussions previously. And you can leverage the learnings to build a more compelling campaign page by listening to what factors of the story resonating. Either way, the resonation of the conversation and what's important with your community and how you want to craft the narrative around your launch. So with that said, I'm going to be turning the floor over to Amy here for the next couple of slides.
Okay, sorry, I was trying to unmute myself, but thank you for the warm intro, Stacey. So hello again, if you are just joining us, I am Amy from the campaign strategy team. So it's my pleasure today to share some of these campaign page best practices that our campaign strategists here live and breathe. I would also explain the thinking behind those general guidelines to help you conceptualize the rules that we discussed throughout the session. So I hope after today's session, you will be able to pull some of these actionable ideas to begin with building your own campaign page. So let me start with this statement. A campaign page is where you tell your product's value proposition. This is the really the deciding factor for your pre-launch email list subscribers and visitors from all kinds of marketing channels to determine whether they want to back your project or not. And the ultimate goal of this campaign page is that it has high conversion rate, which leads to high funds raised and high number of backers. So with this concept above, let's dive in. First of all, let's look at the Indiegogo campaign page in case you're not too familiar with it. The Indiegogo campaign page is composed of a few elements here. As you see here, we call above the fold, which is basically the areas above the divider line that I show you here. This is where the browser's windows you would be able to see immediately in the browser window. And these elements are most important because they are first visible when a visitor loads the page. It is the prime real estate that gets most attention from the visitor. And because of the high visibility, the content that you place above the fold should be eye-catchy to trigger interest in order to achieve your funding goal. So your video overlay, image, gallery, product stage, title, tagline, campaigner profile would immediately grab users' attention and present them with the content that they are looking for so they don't bounce or visit another web page immediately. And when you scroll down, this is where the full story and perks would be visible to your visitor. So this is the area that you will provide details of your project and motivate them to contribute. Your story should be pitchy, also concise, informative, and easy to digest in order to convert your visitors into backer. And perks, in simple words, these are the products on the shelf that are ready for the customers to grab. And so during the webinar, we would dive deeper into what are the other types that you can offer for a perk. If it's a tech innovation product, your incentive could probably be the actual product or software subscription that will allow users to use your service. If it's a creative project, such as film, you will probably want to offer spin-off or access to your premiere, live streaming, or private events, etc. So we will talk about all these different perk types later in the webinar, so stay tuned. And here, this is basically the illustration that I want to show the idea of above the fold and below the fold to help you understand what would be the most important real estate that people look at and visible to them when they arrive on your campaign page. And don't forget that mobile first. So as we talked about all the above the fold being the most important real estate, the principle applies to all devices. On mobile, you will really have limited real estate. So it's crucial that you are being strategic about what to present to your visitors as they land on the page immediately. And so being mobile first means that the content should be really condensed. It is basically a content center mindset. It helps save design time and improve designers' productivity. On the other hand, it also really forces you and the designers to really pay attention to the content of the product, which helps you hone in the most important content and create neat and practical web designs. So see how this example here are able to create a layout that focuses on the features and use cases to keep these crucial information simple and present a clear visual hierarchy of content. So generally speaking, you do not really need a lot of fancy design to have a well-funded campaign, but you do need to think like a web user. If you do not keep your campaign page easy for visitors to navigate through the information or make those information as easy as possible to find on the campaign page, that will discourage the user from continue learning more about your project and then just leave the web page. So coming up, I want to give you the first-handed information on how users are browsing the campaign page and what are the key information they are looking for. These are the Indiegogo users that we just interviewed with last week. So let's hear their honest opinions to help you understand what users are actually looking for. So first, keep in mind that users scroll and skim through the campaign page. They do not really read every word you put on the campaign page. Here's a quote from a user. He touched upon how he scrolled through the videos from the campaign videos to review videos and click through FAQ, update, and discussion. We won't really talk about the other aspects such as community management much in this session, but let's hear about the quote first so you can have a better understanding of what the users are talking about.
Videos, I mean, that's something I always do. I watch the videos and I scroll through the videos. Hopefully there's more videos than just the one. I mean, I look at the FAQ, how it works, updates. That's another important thing I do. I want to make sure that they're regularly updating. It's not going to be a product that's going to be dead on arrival that I'm going to get. There's going to be no support, or if there's people that have already started ordering it, making sure they're getting it.
Okay, so here you will probably notice that this user also touch upon the other areas of the campaign page, such as update, discussion. We wouldn't really go too deep into these areas, but if you are interested, our previous webinars in the Champion Backer Engagement series would be great for you to dig deeper. Okay, and so here, let's go to the next topic. The next one would be looking for opinions from third parties. We've also found that users would scroll through the galleries to look for any unboxing and review content from external sources, as opposed to the customer testimonial quotes only that are, basically put together by the campaigners. So let's hear what these users are talking about.
That's where up here I would normally scroll through these, see if they have some review videos, see if they have like some external people that have tried this. I mean, because these canned backers don't, or these canned reviews don't really say much, like 5 stars, working professional. It's very canned, so I don't like scroll through here to look for if they have YouTube review videos or if it's been featured on somebody's influencer's channel. I know that's not 100%, but
okay, so here it basically gives you a quick idea of what these third-party opinions could present to a user. They want a more holistic picture of what the project could actually deliver. They also would potentially look for reviews or other third-party opinions on search engines, etc. And so these are some of the first-hand learnings that we heard from our users. And third, sharing a project timeline also would help you present it as more transparent and also accountable to prospective backers. In our interviews, users suggested that it is desirable to have a timeline information as visible as possible on the upper part of the campaign page. And let's hear about these users.
Somebody who really wants this pillow wants it a lot and they want it soon. They don't want to have to read through a lot of other information if they're already sold on it. So the timeline should be higher on the page.
Yeah, so this is just one of the quotes that we pick here. But other than that, some users, they also suggested that they would tend to, go into perks or updates to find out the status of the project. And if there's a foreseeable delivery timeline that has been disclosed by the campaigner. And so these are some of the things that you should keep in mind that users want to find the project timeline as easy as possible on the upper part of the campaign page. Last but not least, the campaign page, as I mentioned, has multiple tabs, and having a consistent backer communications would be crucial to your funding success. Other than your early adopters that you acquire through your pre-launch email list, your prospective backers would also be evaluating, your trustworthiness based on your backer communications. And so let's hear from this users to see what is her expectations.
The creator at least giving like updates, mostly when we are waiting. I mean, I'm waiting for one project for the past 3 years, and it's just like, oh no, there is another problem. And I do understand there is COVID. I do understand there is like a lot of things that are happening and are very complicated for the project owner. But at some point, it's just like, well, I mean, mostly when you are backing a technology, like 3 years after the technology is kind of like, it's too late. So it's kind of annoying. And I'm very careful about technology because of that.
Yeah, so the quick takeaway from this one is that even, when your project is delayed or there are things unexpected happen along the whole process, you should at least send out communications to your backers. And once a month is a good rule of thumb to keep in mind. Okay, so we just looked at the campaign page structure and heard from our users. I hope that gives you a better grasp of the important elements on the campaign page. Now I want to break it down to discuss each element that fall under different section of the campaign page. So the title, the tagline, and the video overlay image are what we call the above the fold elements. So this is, again, the information, the content that are above the browser cutoff line. And these would be the first elements that visitors will see when they arrive. And to keep in mind that these will largely determine whether they would decide readily to read on or click away. And the title and the tagline are also very important for your search engine optimization. So here, let's look at the title. Basically, for project title, you would need, have a clear product name or keywords that can simply explain what the product is. For example, I would recommend the structures to start with, a product name or your brand name, and then a few keywords to describe what the product is about. And in terms of tagline, this should be a clear statement to explain your product benefits. For example, how it would actually improve your audience life, what the product actually does. So in terms of the structure, I would recommend trying something like what the product actually does in one sentence. And then the second sentence would be why it will make my life better. Next, video overlay image. So the video overlay image, it is basically the overlay that you would show in front of your campaign video. And this should be a clear image of your product, as well as enough context to explain what the product actually does without being too busy with all the different overlay tags or elements. And then next would be team owner profile. So this is where people can see what the company is, and you could have a clear logo as the profile picture, or you could also have a founder's portrait to represent the whole team. That usually will paint your company or your team as more humanized than the other way around. And lastly, gallery. This is where you want to include your use case images, customer testimonials, or any unboxing videos to help users visualize how your product can apply to their daily life. And as you heard from our users early, some of these unboxing videos or third-party review videos would also be very helpful if you include it in the gallery to just provide additional context and opinions for your users to research through. Okay, so next, to build out an effective story for users to easily follow through, I typically would recommend this structure for our campaigners to apply to their own campaign page if you are a first starter. As you can see, it starts with the key unique selling point, then the features, quotes from the press, and anything that can demonstrate your reputation if you're covered by the media, and then more details around use cases, how the product works, and competition, comparison, and all the other background information such as your perks, manufacturing, fulfillment timeline, and team bios and pictures. And so here, if you want to highlight, your current stage of the project, you could have a standalone banner up at the top of the story to signal the phases that the project is in. For example, if you are already ready to fulfill the perks, then you can have that information right on the top for people to easily see. And also keeping a more comprehensive timeline in the story at the bottom of the page would also be helpful for those who want more information or want to research more about how well you plan the project. In terms of your visual design and presentation, keep in mind that your USB should always be, go to the first of the story so that it would be the hook for the users. User will only read when the users are interested by the above fold information. Other than that, trust and transparency are very crucial here. Don't be afraid of showing the behind the scene content such as design, prototyping, production, and packaging process. Even though those content are not really like polished or touched by designers, they really build up trust among your prospective backers. And as we stressed earlier, mobile first is really important. Keep your layout neat and content concise. To the point would be very helpful to help you focus on delivering what the users is actually looking for and cutting off some of these fluffy elements that may distract them. And make sure that the overall design has a clear hierarchy to distinguish headlines and paragraphs so that they can easily follow through the whole structure of the story. And keep in mind, it should be skimmable, digestible, and the story editor is always editable to use. So it can evolve throughout the whole campaign phase, and there's no need that you would need to add everything up front to the campaign page because keep in mind your audience at the beginning stage of the campaign might be different from the lower stage of the campaign. So for example, your pre-launch email list audience, they will already have a good sense of the product. They would need more information such as like pricing or perk so that they can back immediately versus the audience that you brought in by ads. They still need more research time to look through your campaign page and validate whether this is something that would really benefit your life. So this is an example that you should keep in mind that not everything worth being placed in the story upfront because the audience and your campaign strategy will always evolve throughout the campaign phase. And now let's look at some of these feature infographics just to give you an idea of what other campaigners are doing and how you can present your product. So here you can see all the different ways of designing the feature infographics to just showcase what are the key features that a product can offer. And as you can see here, usually people would use icons. They will lay out the whole structure to make it as easy to digest as possible. And now we also want to show you some of these GIFs that can help you story tell your product better. As you can see here, these will usually be GIFs about like the use cases, how the product actually functions, diving deeper into the product specs or how to assemble the product, etc. So using GIFs would be another way to help you highlight some of these information that you wouldn't be really able to tell clearly through just text description or just a static image. In terms of copy, keep a rule of thumb that you will need to determine your tone of voice at the beginning of your whole project. Make sure you know who your brand is and what kind of person it would be, and write around your key features and benefits to make sure applying that tone to your marketing copy. And a second person tone to speak to your audience would be very appealing to your audience, while using a more objective tone may have some distance So that's something that we would recommend you keep in mind. So these are some of the examples that you can focus on. So for example, here I listed out a couple of different campaigns that they use a more benefit-oriented copy to highlight how the project or feature it works. So here you can see the first one is about a laser projector. It is clear that they mentioned you can enjoy a stunning 4K movie theater experience from anywhere. And this is the benefit that we said that, once you use the product or own the product, how would this actually benefit your life? And a second example here would be, this is a travel car and how this would actually take the weight off your back and allow you to move hands-free. So again, these would be the actual impact that the product can have on a person when they use it. And now with all of these framework, we'll dive deeper into the perks. So I will let Megan to speak more about what are the other perk types that we offer and how you can better structure your perks so to present them as more attractive to your prospective factors.
Thanks, Amy. Yes, so let's dive into perks. Overall, it's important to keep in mind when you're setting up these perks to keep the structure simple and streamlined and as simple as possible at launch. It's unlike traditional e-commerce and shopping where the viewer will have a shopping cart and can put a lot in the shopping cart. So they can only pick one standard perk at a time. So we'd recommend only having about 6 perks to start at launch. That way it's streamlined and to the point, and then it helps also avoid choice paralysis. So viewers aren't overwhelmed with seeing a bunch of different options. That way you keep the focus on the product or that you're raising funds for. And then to start, you'd also want to feature your most popular perk option. The perks are sorted based on price from low to high. So if you do have a higher price perk that will actually be your most popular option, you'll want to set that as your featured perk. So that way it appears at the very top of the perk list, regardless of price. And then in terms of the perk title, you'll also want to be mindful there because it will be one of the first aspects of the perk the viewer will be able to see, which is also especially important on mobile. So you'll want to keep the product name. And then also if you have space with the character count, you'll also want to add any additional language to create a sense of urgency, such as early bird, which is quite popular in crowdfunding too. So for example, like the early bird product name or super early bird, depending on what point in the campaign you're at as well. And then another way on your perks to draw exclusivity or urgency is with the perk quantity. So you're able to adjust that during the campaign. So as a best practice and good strategy for perks is to start with a relatively low amount, depending on price point and how much you are intending to sell with that first early bird type pricing and also within your margins. So starting with a low amount, 50 to 250 is good. And then as those sell out or get close to selling out, you can increase the amount during the campaign too, just to maintain that sense of urgency. And then another important aspect when setting up perks is the perk image. So you'll want to include the perk itself in the image and then anything else. So if you're including bundles, it's good to have that in the image as well, just so viewers can see what's included, because that'll be easier for them to identify first with the image because they'll have to click into the description first or after. So they'll see the image first. So that's an easier way to just convey what's included. And then if you do have color options, it can get a little convoluted if you have a picture of like every perk or every product in different colors. So we have an example here of one way to streamline it of just showing different color options like that. So it's a little bit cleaner and easier to see. And then that will take us to other ways to diversify your perk options. So some other options we have is secret perks. So these are unique perks that don't appear on the campaign page for everyone. So you will be able to create a secret perk, and then it will generate a special link for you, and you can send that link, and only people with that link will be able to see that secret perk. And so we also have the example right there. So that will then be featured on top of the featured perk, or the secret perk will be on top of the featured perk if you have that as well. These are great if you want to give links to, say, influencers, or if you want to do retargeting, you can send those out to offer a special deal and create further incentive there as an option. And then we also have some other ways to diversify your perks as well. And then another good option is add-on perks. This is a great way if you have accessories or complementary products that work well with the main product. These will be perks that are seen at checkout. So it helps streamline the page view so you don't have a bunch of perks on the campaign page. So then once they get to checkout, it's easy for the backer to add on all these extra ones. So this is a great way to bump up the average order value, and then since you can only buy one standard perk, this is a great way for you to add on the extra additional accessories too. And then we also offer a lot of great insights and dashboards on the campaign as well. So once the campaign is live, you'll get, and also on the pre-launch, you'll have a dashboard as well on insights, giving you a breakdown of metrics, traffic, and sources. And then once the campaign is live, you'll also get a referral dashboard that shows you who is driving traffic and the conversion rates there. And we also do have the option to add in Google Analytics and the Facebook Pixel on there as well. So a lot of great options and for being able to dive deeper on insights and data. Which then takes us to diving deeper into some, showing you how we give feedback to campaign pages. And earlier we did a call for some campaign drafts examples to offer some feedback. And so Amy and I will be breaking down some campaign feedback from some of the participants that have sent in their drafts. And we took a look at those, and we'll be providing some feedback for these example campaigns that are upcoming soon. So to start, we have World's Best VR 3D Sound, which is a new hi-fi experience. And then to take it from the top, so for the title, I would recommend including the product name, just to make it easier for search engine optimization, just so people that are searching for the product name or familiar with your brand, it's easier for them to find. And then also for the video overlay image, as Amy mentioned earlier with the breakdown, it's one of the first things viewers will see. So having a not as busy image, just so that the product is more in focus. That way viewers' eye will be drawn to it right away. And then you just want more of a focal point. And then for the story section, as you can see, it's quite text heavy. So I would definitely recommend adding in more images to break up those texts, as Amy also mentioned earlier. And then from the sound bites too, people aren't necessarily going to read word for word of everything on the page. And then also, it just makes it easier to convey the message when they're just scrolling around on the page as well. Amy has anything else to add to for this one?
Yeah, so just to piggyback to the structure of the story, I think it's important to have a clear visual hierarchy. So here we can see that this campaigner, he or she did use the headline or sub headline to differentiate the content blocks, but keep in mind that in terms of the visual presentation, if once you have more images or infographics, you still want to keep a clear hierarchy across your whole structure. And other than that, I would say in the perk structure, right now we can see there's a donation. There's also 2 other like hardware specific perks. We, as a user, we wouldn't really be able to tell which is the most important product at this time that you want to offer. And so having a clear like featured perk and also different, pricing tiers would help you market your product more appealing to your prospective backers. So that would be the additional thoughts that I will offer to this campaigner.
Yeah, and then just to expand on the donation part a bit, people can choose to add a donation if they want at the top with the bucket button at the top of the campaign, but we would recommend not having a donation or give a dollar type perk because it just distracts from the main offerings you have. So you will really want to keep the focus on the product itself. And then to the point earlier of just making sure the perk list is streamlined so you don't create choice paralysis there.
Okay, so let's go to the second campaign.
Cool. So the next submission we had was the Cosmoa Net Taking Back the Internet campaign draft, and pretty similar to the previous one of also being mindful of the title and including your product name there as well, just to help viewers who are unfamiliar with your brand, your product, your company, identify what the campaign is for. And then for the story page itself, again, any way that is possible to break up text-heavy sections will be important. And then using those infographics, images, icons, even if you don't necessarily have the physical product itself, or if it's, in this case, it wouldn't be a physical product, just having screenshots or mock-ups of what it will look like are helpful, just to convey to the viewer as well what it will be. And then to the perks, I think they probably, it looks like the retail price is maxed out. So in this case, I would recommend just keeping it to a realistic retail price. Of course, it looks great to have 99% off, but you want to keep it to what it'll actually be. Then anything else to add for this one too, Amy?
Yeah, for this specific campaign, I remember we also, discussed internally that at a first glance, it's really unclear what the product is about. So I would actually advise this campaigner to focus a little bit on, the tagline and also having a clear positioning of the product to help people immediately understand what you are trying to market to them when they first arrive on the page. And similar idea to the perk. Once you have that clear, concept and a positioning of what you are offering to your audience, then your perk name should also reflect that. So for example, unlimited premium, is this about a subscription to your service, or what kind of unlimited access would people get? So that would be something I would recommend polishing more. Okay, so let's go to the third campaign.
Sounds good. Cool. Yes, for our third submission, we have the Easy Crab Cutter. So right now it looks like there might be a placeholder blank spot for the campaign pitch video or image. So for here, I just refer back to the best practices that Amy mentioned of having a video overlay image that is a clear shot of the product with enough context for the viewer to be able to know what it does. If you don't have a pitch video yet, the same criteria would apply to using an image there as well. You just want to be able to catch and hook viewers at the start, since it is the first thing people will see. And then to the goal, I think it was probably a placeholder right now. So just a note there of setting your smartness minimum needed to be able to deliver your perks, since you want to be able to have enough funds to fulfill. And then moving on to the story section of it, there's a lot of great images and renders of what it's going to look like in the prototypes. Even if it's still an early stage of prototypes, I would recommend having those images just to show how the progress of the actual product is looking like, and just so viewers don't see that it's only renders. They'll want to see the status of where the current product is, regardless of how polished it looks like. I know a lot of campaigns don't want to show real rough images of the prototype, but I still think that's very helpful, and viewers find it very helpful of seeing the physical product too. And then for the Perk images, similar to the examples we showed earlier, I would include the product or a render of, in this case, a render of the product in the image, the Perk images itself, just so it's easier for viewers to see what is included in these, and then include the product name in the Perk title as well. So viewers can tell what it is for. And again, it's especially important for mobile when you see the image and title first, and then you have to click into the description second.
Yeah, so 100% agree with Megan here. And just to add on that, I think for this specific product, because it is, basically like a, kitchen utensils. So I would say kitchenware. So I would say it is important to showcase the use case through your product photography. And right now, we can't really see that there are images similar to what we mentioned. And so it's important to help you your users visualize how they can utilize the product and how this could potentially apply to, some of the use cases that they are already thinking of using with your product. And so having those more use case focused photography will help you present your product more appealing to your users. Okay, so Megan, you want to wrap it up with some key takeaways for our listeners?
Sounds good. Yeah, to recap, I would definitely keep in mind to not assume that someone will read the whole page or watch the whole video. On average, viewers tend to spend about 2 to 3 minutes on the campaign page. So you kind of want to be mindful of that, of being sure to have the most important key benefits and features at the top of the page. So you make sure you are conveying those as soon as possible. So you really want to get those across in those crucial 2 to 3 minutes, so that you're able to explain to the viewer what the product is and really demonstrate why it is something they want to back. And then if you just think about how you're viewing pages too, you're not necessarily reading line for line of everything, but you're scrolling around and looking throughout the page. So keeping that in mind as well. And then another key takeaway is that expectations matter. So make sure that the page aligns with what backers should expect. So making sure that, to the point of making sure renders and product photos are as up to date and close as possible as you can get them. And then also setting expectations with shipping and fulfillment times too, keeping that up to date and as close to the actual timeline as possible. And then this was mentioned previously, but definitely a key takeaway of mobile first viewers will generally be looking at the campaign page first on mobile first. So especially if you're sending any ads or paid media or press outreach. So when designing the page, make sure to look at a preview of it on a phone too, just to see what it will look like, and make sure images are optimized and for the smaller screen as well, and everything looks good there as well.
All right, I'm back up. Stacy Bookend Bradford over here. All right, I'm here to take it home. We're supposed to land this son of a gun by the top of the hour. That gives me 6 minutes for this Stacy side chat that's coming up. So education resources, my friends. Let's go ahead and get to it. Where can we find these? So there are great reads on Indiegogo in Indiegogo's Education Center. on topics that you can see here as they, to quote Neil Young here, out of the blue and into the black is where they come from. So with that technique, next slide. Okay. Oh, and this is something that I like a lot. Obviously, as co-host of Indiegogo's Go Time podcast, you can see our album art right there. Check us out. So we are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite streaming station. And also, while we're plugging stuff here, we have a Instagram Live on Friday. That's going to be super fun. It's going to be with one of the co-founders of Possum Creek. They have a really great tabletop role-playing game that launched yesterday called Yaziba's Bed and Breakfast. If it's anything like their first book, which is, game, it's going to be super fun. It's called Wonder Home. It's presented in this parsimonious prose that's robustly imaginative, idyllic, and inclusive. It's going to be super great conversation, super fun. We'll be getting to that on Friday. But more importantly, we got an FAQ on the next slide, I believe. Maybe not an FAQ. All right, here we go. All right, so what would be the right campaign page length? Megan, would you want to tackle a topic like that, question like that?
Yes, sounds good. And this case, I think, is definitely relative to the product too, of how much you need to explain about the product. I mean, of course, you can have it too long. So I would also refer to our image size guidelines. So you don't want it to be the image files to be too heavy, so you get a slow page load. But you do want to be able to hit your main points, and then make sure to optimize the top so you are hitting the high level overview of your benefits and features, and then take as much page length as you need to be able to fully explain the product and break it down further in detail. I mean, you don't want it to be overly long, but definitely have enough information for viewers to be able to figure out what they need to know in order to back the campaign.
Yeah, keep it focused, keep it tight, keep it quick. You got to remember, your visitors only spend a finite amount of time on your campaign page. You want to keep them engaged. And speaking of keeping people engaged, let's go to the next FAQ. This one in this round robin of questions. Amy, would you like to take this one on?
Yeah, so how much graphic or GIF are appropriate to use on a campaign page? So as Megan just mentioned, you also want to make sure the page load wouldn't take up too much time, so you lose your visitors there. I think it really depends on how your audience, the audience attributes here. If it's a really highly tech savvy group that they are very knowledgeable about all the technical specifications, then you probably wouldn't really need a lot of graphic or GIF as the other campaigns. And in the meantime, if you are launching, like, let's say, a clothing project, a big part of it is to demonstrate how the models will look like when they are in the clothes. So this would be the scenario that you want to build a more graphic oriented campaign page.
Excellent. Good answer there. And to the other people wondering out there, is it GIF or GIF? Who's to say? We're very inclusive here. Now, question number 3. Can I set up a different campaign page variants? I will yield the floor to my more esteemed and experienced colleagues in this realm. Megan, Amy, you want to take that question?
Sounds good. So the campaign page itself, you can't set up variants, but a good way to do that instead is during the pre-launch phase. And I would recommend doing this in the pre-launch phase as well. So on our Indiegogo pre-launch page, you're able to set up A/B variants. And during that pre-launch time, I would recommend testing out different ideas and images, graphics, copies there, just so you can get an idea of what's working and what's not. And then on the pre-launch page dashboard, you'll get insights there. We auto split the traffic on the link if you want, so you don't have to manually be sending out A and B variants to people. So it's all handled automatically for you. So definitely would recommend doing A/B testing variants for the pre-launch page. And if there's anything else to add to that too, Amy has anything further.
No, I think that is a good point that a lot of these A/B testing should be conducted during pre-launch page. And then the campaign page, since there's only one variant that you can create it, so you should really just apply the learnings and findings during the pre-launch page to your campaign page creation. So those would be the winning combination of all the variations that you have tested during pre-launch.
Excellent. Thank you both for those answers. We're talking about A/B testing. If that was page A, let's bring it to page B. So right here for the Q&A. All right. There's a bunch of good questions. We have a very limited amount of time. We can answer one or two. If you are in the audience out there and you're looking at this here screen, you can see my email address here. So if we don't get to answer your question, email me. I'm super available. So email me, let me know. I'm here to help you. So the first question that we have here. All right. Best access. Okay. So I'm always, if you're listening to the podcast, I rail against bias a lot. In terms of, there's a type of bias called the most or the last person in the room bias. This goes to Paul Cousins, since it's the first person in the chat that I'm seeing. So how do we best access the algorithm to get organic traffic from Indiegogo so that we can use the millions of monthly active users on the platform? There are 24 million monthly active users, unique active users. So how do we do this? There's various number of ways, but ultimately you want to make for sure that you are hitting you want to hit your campaign, or excuse me, you want to hit your campaign page goal. The go-go factor, which is the algorithm that governs organic visibility on our platform. We have Slack in the background, you might just FYI. You want to make for sure that you're gamifying it to your best interest. You want to make for sure that your percentage pass goal is up, you have high traffic, you are, it takes into account the funds raised, etc. You can find more in our education center with the URL that will be in the notes. All right, one more quick question here. Okay. I noticed a question earlier. You'll have to forgive me, dear viewer, who said it. I can't find it right here. I'm going to go ahead and, because I know that there are a couple of film attendees in here as well, about the campaign page and the narrative therein. So do the same fundamentals that we were speaking about apply to film campaigns, is ultimately the question. The answer is yes. You want to make for sure that you are crafting a narrative that ultimately takes one down a path to conversions. Be whatever your perk strategy is, you want to make for sure that you are raising funds to make for sure that your movie can be produced and you're moving in a direction that is towards your goals. Megan, you're shaking your head up and down a lot. We were talking about miming earlier.
Yes.
You're an excellent mimer. How about mime us an answer? Do you have anything to add? Okay.
Yeah, definitely agree. The base structure of what you want to highlight is important, and making sure the narrative of benefits are there. But I mean, since it's not a physical product, you obviously don't have to showcase any prototypes or production of the physical product. So making sure you're giving a story of why you're making the movie, and then any behind the scenes photos is helpful, maybe cast images, and then showing, since you're not necessarily having physical perks for the product itself, but for the film, having space on the campaign page dedicated to showing off those, whether it be like the cover art or just a breakdown to give more of an insight to the film or project you're raising funds for. So the viewers are get the insight there and want to be on board and be part of that early stage process of helping it come to life.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, everyone. I know that was just 2 questions, but we're 5 minutes past midnight here. Let's go ahead and move on. Feel free to, feel free to email me. You can see my email address right there, stacy@indiegogo.com. That's Stacy with a Y, by the way, no EY here. STACY @indiegogo.com. All right, so upcoming, my friends, we have submit your campaign drafts for our strategists to review. That's in April. We're also going to have some really cool stuff around sustainability and things of that nature, but I don't want to get out in front of our marketing team, of course. And we've made it to the end. So now there are prizes, as you can see. I feel as if there was a real missed opportunity to say DOE, but not DOH, DOUGH, my friends. Anyway, all right, so now. All right, so we will be emailing the winners, or no, the questions. All right, so Classy, you are our producer here. Help us with these winners. Winner number 1, we have David McGowan. All right. So that is one $50 gift card. We will be, we have your contact information. We'll be reaching out. Can we, who's winner number 2? Woohoo, indeed. Yes. I think you mean dough. All right. And just FYI, just so everyone knows, we are using a random number generator here so that the playing field is totally even. I was talking about bias earlier. We're removing bias in favor of random chance. All right, so winner number 2, Arlene Williams. Congratulations. That's $25 gift card, OGC. And drum roll, bam, 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 bam. Winner number 3, as it comes out of this random number generator hopper. That's how they do it on the television for the lottery, cranking it up. I think. I don't know. That's more bingo. Indie bingo go. All right. So question winner number 3 coming up. I don't believe coming up is that individual's name, so we will wait one more second. All right, Edith Lau. All right, you, my friend, and forgive me if I mispronounced your last name. You can see it in the chat there. You, my friend, are our 3rd winner and final winner of the day for a gift card of $25. We will be reaching out and making for sure that you get that. So thank you all for viewing. I hope you all learned a lot of stuff today. There was so much great content in here. I want to shout out Amy, Megan, for the wonderful job that they did presenting. I also want to shout out Classy, who's back there behind the Go symbol, as well as the entire staff of Indiegogo. We're comprised of a team of crowdfunding experts. Everyone's great at what they do. There's a lot of unsung heroes out there that go into this webinar that are behind the scenes heroes, and they all deserve a little pat on the back. Thank you very much, everyone out there. And thank you, most importantly, for being part of our audience today. And email me if you have any questions, stacy@indiegogo.com. And until we meet again, my friends, have a good rest of your day.